have no other way to shop, or it's difficult to shop in other ways. I know in Australia now, I think things are easing quite a lot, but
Mm.
also it's a disposable income conversation as well. So,
So, and how has COVID affected you guys? I mean, I imagine it could be up and down because most people are probably browsing for your items online anyway, are they? I mean, what sort of percentage of people would actually come in and physically take a look at something before purchasing it?
yeah, I mean, COVID has definitely impacted us. It's impacted us in a couple of different ways. There's some positive elements to it. You're absolutely right. There are more eyeballs and more transactions going through our website now than ever before, and that's because a lot of people have no other way to spend their disposable income. You see all the reports about the statistics on the sales on Amazon. Tripling and trebling and quadrupling and that much more over this period, and it's just because people have no other way to shop, or it's difficult to shop in other ways. I know in Australia now, I think things are easing quite a lot, but
Mm.
also it's a disposable income conversation as well. So a lot of people for the whole of this year haven't been traveling. They've not been spending their money on petrol. They've not been going out to dinners and drinking in bars. They've not been going on a holiday and spending their money that way. And so people have generally had a little bit more disposable income to consider purchases. And I think then it's also relevant to talk about interest rates in banks is practically zero. A lot of banks or a number of banks and a number of countries are talking about the potential of negative interest rates. So if you have money in the bank, it's not only not going to be earning you any money, but it's actually going to be costing you money to keep it in there. Currency
Mm.
markets are very unstable. Stocks and shares aren't stable either. So what we're seeing is something directly comparable to the crash that we saw in 2007, 2008, where investors and people with money are actually looking for physical artifacts, physical assets to invest into, so that they have some degree of security that they're not being offered through other investment forms. So a lot of our auctions have more registrations than ever before, more bidding activity than ever before, and more engagement. So that side of things is positive. From a negative perspective, we've been very, very challenged with actually being able to catalog content and actually prepare content for auction. If you get a chance to flick through the upcoming auction catalog, it's 900 lots from over 350 films and television shows. Every single one of those items has to be photographed in depth, multiple
Mm.
angles, has to be researched, copy written about it. And we've been doing that on skeleton staffs in the warehouses, in the offices, other people working from home. And then in addition to that, it's actually the event itself, the live auctions that we put on themselves. Previously, we would have for the UK auction that's just come out now, we would have a big event that takes place in central London at the Odeon BFI IMAX. This year, it's going to be all out of the Propstore facility. It will still be live streamed. It'll be about 8 hours a day for 2 days. So you want to sit down and have a nice comfy chair and a couple of tinnies on hand to crack open during the process. But it means that we've had to create an exhibition environment within the Propstore facility, and we're doing a huge amount more digitally. So we've got a lot of content that's coming out through our social media streams right now. There's pre-record, there's live streams as well. You can also schedule one-to-one interactive viewings with the specialists rather than coming to see things in person. And we're doing that with collectors all around the world. So, it's changes, but at the same time, I think, that we've enjoyed that as well. We've embraced it. And it's just fun and interesting to be doing different things, as long as we all stay fit and healthy. And that's
Yeah,
the most important factor, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, well, hopefully, if all of my dreams and plans come to fruition with Flicks for Good, which is the social enterprise that I'm working on, which is the goal is to launch a video streaming service with the main aim of raising money and awareness for different causes and people in need here and overseas, nominated by the subscribers, and predominantly driven by ad revenue, is the thought process that I've sort of come along with, consulting with some different people and just my own kind of thinking. if that all comes together, then hopefully at some stage I'll actually have some disposable income again myself, and I would love to invest in some different items because I mean, if it's a similar kind of return that you would get, let's say, if you were to go and spend money on art, and it's like you're saying, that kind of same sort of experience to have something from one of the actual movies would be amazing. And actually, one of the things that I have been saying at the end of my episodes, almost just because I couldn't really think of anything original to say, and I didn't want to just say, "Oh, I'll see you in the next one," or just whatever Peter McKinnon says. Was putting a shout out to people. If anybody knows Quentin Tarantino and can arrange an interview with him, or if they know how to get hold of an original Gonzo, then I would like to know about it. So
Ooh.
my question to you is, I mean, and now learning what you're talking about with the foam latex and things like that, it's possible that they've perished. But are there any original Gonzo puppets alive in the world?
Life in the world. I think Gonzo definitely still exists. There's no doubt about that. It's most likely any filmed versions are going to be in the Henson archive. So Hensons have their own archive of puppets that they've used historically, and they do a great job of taking care of them and ensuring their survival. So Gonzo, I'm sure, does exist now. Does it exist in private hands? I think that's questionable. I've had partial Gonzos in the past. I've actually had casts of his head, and I've had elements of Miss Piggy as well. But complete Henson puppets like the Fizzgig we looked at earlier are incredibly rare, and that is going to be a tough ask. But you never know. That's the
Yeah,
beauty of this. You
yeah,
never know what's around the corner. You never know what might turn up.
yeah. Well, I imagine it'd be pretty expensive. Like if, let's say, if one was ever to become available to the private buyer, what sort of price estimate would you imagine?
Well, yeah, I mean that's a good question, and I'll be brief on this, but just to give you some insight
Yeah.
into how the valuations are sort of determined as well, it would depend which film it came from or which show it came from. It also depends, its vintage. So Muppet collectors may well be more interested and attribute more value to something that was from the original TV series going right the way back to the 70s and 80s than they are
Yes.
from the modern movies. So it will
Yep.
depend where it comes from. It will depend on condition as well. That would be another consideration. And then it will also depend on how much screen time that particular iteration of Gonzo has had. So is it seen in the blink of an eye in a background shot, or is it in main frame for a long period of time? So all of those things will contribute to that. But if I
Mm.
give you a sort of a brush stroke abroad, and bear in mind that we've, obviously never had a Gonzo come up for sale before. I've never seen a Gonzo for sale on the open market, but my sort of gut feeling would be somewhere in the region of 30 to £50,000, something along those orders, which
Okay.
is, I suppose, for Australian, it's about, I think, about double at the moment, isn't it? So that's that sort of
Yeah.
60
Hovers. It
to
seems
60 to 100 or something like that
to
in
range
Australian dollars.
between double to triple at different times, but that's actually, I mean, not. It's definitely not something that I have sitting in my back pocket. But it's not
Few of us do.
outside. It's not a complete impossibility. I kind of pictured. I had in my head that it'd be something like $1 million or something. I just thought, like, if it was like one of the, as you're saying, one of the original Gonzos from the original Muppets TV show that had, let's say, had a significant amount of screen time, then I thought that he would be worth quite a bit of money. And it's just, I don't
I,
know.
I think I think if you bring it up to market, I think you could easily see that run into six figures in pounds, because I think you get a lot of people chasing it. But as it's such a hypothetical, it's very difficult to nail it down until we would have Gonzo sitting in front of us. And believe you me, I would love to find a Gonzo. Yeah, Muppet Christmas Carol is one of my favourite Christmas movies. It's one we revisit every year, and I've been looking for something from Muppet Christmas Carol for the whole of my collecting career. And this is the one thing, I don't know if you can actually see this.
Oh, hang on, let me
This
get
is
you
a
on
Henson.
the main
There you
screen.
go.
Oh wow.
There you go. So that is a Henson crew gift that they gave out, and it's a little Timmy sitting on Kermit's shoulders there, and
Oh,
that is pretty much that, and a script and a couple of other crew gift cards. That's all I've ever found. I can't even find the smallest puppet left in existence from that or any other artifacts. So it's a tough ask,
Yeah.
man, with Gonzo, but I'll see what I can do for you.
I see what you can do for me. Yeah. I saw what's his name from I've had a mental blank. The guy from MythBusters, Adam.
Adam Savage.
That's him, Adam Savage. Yeah, he was doing a tour of a Muppets exhibit somewhere, and that looked pretty exciting. So, yeah, I would love to. I mean, I'd even just love to see an original Gonzo. But I don't know. Somewhere along the way, I think I was talking to like a business mentor, and they were just saying about dreams and goals and life sort of things and wish lists and stuff like that. And I thought in my head, it would be cool to have an original Gonzo, and I just loved the idea of having him in some special glass kind of framed cabinet with like a little system there where you could flick a light on and press a few buttons to play a few of his key voices, and just have it planted in a random location in your house, like as you walk out of the bathroom or something. So, and don't tell anybody about it. And they just have some people over, and then they just wander out. And they're like, "What is that?" It's this thing in the dark, and hang on, is that Gonzo? So good. Yeah, mate. Thanks so much for talking to me. I really enjoyed chatting. We'll definitely stay in touch, and I'll put a link in the show notes to the website and to the auction. So I wish you well with that, and stay in touch.
Thank you as well. I really enjoyed the chat today. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you. The only thing that I haven't enjoyed has been Ecamm. Ecamm, what are you doing to me? It's not as responsive as normal. I'm not going to slam it, everybody. Anybody who's thinking about live streaming, don't judge Ecamm too unfairly, because it's normally pretty, what would you say? It's pretty user-friendly, but just speaking of gremlins, just having some little digital gremlin moments. So these things happen. All right. Well, I'm still going to say it. If you know where to find Gonzo, sounds like we're both interested. So, Stephen's really the person who actually would have money to buy the Gonzo from you if you have one. And I hope to be in the situation where I can buy an original Gonzo at some stage. And I'm still keen to talk to Quentin Tarantino. Outside that, have a great week.